purpose of this video today is to show you how to change out a belt on a belt drive vibratory bowl. This is a VibeTech model VTG 5024D. This is a 7.5 cubic foot unlined vibratory bowl that's being used as with corncob for drying. And the application of the belt drive system that we have on our VT machines is very similar from machine to machine. So you can take the techniques and the setups that I'm going to show and demonstrate to you here on this video, and it's applicable to many of our other units. So first and foremost, before you start any of these procedures, make sure you have a good safety lockout tagout procedure in place. Make sure that power's disconnected from the panel and whatnot. And once that's done, the first thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take a wrench or a ratchet. We're going to remove the 4 bolts that hold on what we call the belt guard of the machine. And there's 2 on this side and 2 on that side. So now that we have the guard off, what's going on underneath the guard becomes very visible. It's a very simple system. We have a base mounted motor. We have a tensioning, what we call a belt tensioner, an idler pulley. This is the motor sheave or motor pulley. And then inside the base weldment of the machine is the drive shaft pulley or sheave as well. And so this motor rotates, and that's what spins the drive shaft on the bowl and whatnot. And then so this tensioner, because this bowl vibrates and the base of the machine does not vibrate, and nor does the motor, we have to be able to keep that belt under tension, because that belt, when the machine is running, is going through moments of slack and moments of tightness, and the tensioner will kind of even out those moments and apply a uniform amount of tension to the belt while the machine is running. So the first thing that we're going to do to change a belt out, now that we've got the guard off, is there is one mounting bolt on the bottom of the belt tensioner that holds this to what we call the tensioner mounting plate. Okay? And you're going to see that there's some bolts under here. This is a piece of slotted angle. And the reason this is slotted is this allows us to have variable height adjustment depending on what kind of a load we have in the bowl. Processes that require steel media is a heavy load will make the bowl compress and sit lower on the springs. It's going to change the pulley location on the drive shaft relative to the motor, so we need to be able to adjust the tensioner and the motor pulley up and down. And to do that with the tensioner, we do it with this slide design on the mounting bracket, and now we have infinite adjustability as far as keeping our pulleys lined up. So to get this belt off, first thing we're going to do is we're going to take that mounting bolt on the bottom of that assembly, we're going to loosen it up. And you notice most of the times the tensioner is going to jump like it just did because of the tension that the belt's applying to it. So once we get that loose, give it a couple of more turns. There is a lock washer down there as well, a split lock washer. And once we get that out, you'll be able to take your fingers and remove that fastener, which is right there. And now the tensioner can come right off. So now that the tensioner is disconnected from the belt drive assembly, all we have to do is just spin the belt off of the shifts. And it's probably easiest just to do out here on the motor. You spin it off, and then you got to get it off the drive shaft pulley on the inside, and there's your belt. So now we have the belt off. And what we do here at VibeTech, we drive all of our machines that are belt driven with V series belts or B series V belts. This particular belt's a B78. These belts are readily available at any power transmission supply store, or even automotive stores carry a lot of B section belts and whatnot. If the numbering on your belt is wore off and you can't tell what size the belt is, reference your owner's manual. And if you can't reference your owner's manual, feel free to call our shop here, and you can talk to any of our techs, and we can tell you what size belt it is and whatnot. They're very readily available. So now we're going to put the belt back on. One person can do it, and you can do it from out here. What I like to do is pinch the belt, and I reach my hand through the belt cutout in the base wall, and I look down inside and I get it hooked up into the groove of the sheave on the drive shaft. And once I get it seated into that groove, I just pull it around by hand like that. And now the belt's back on and on the pulleys. So now all we have to do is we have to install our tensioner back on. And we'll set that back up on the mounting bracket. And we will run the mounting bolt up finger tight. And once we've got that back on, now we're ready to grab the base of the tensioner and the ease to apply tension to the belt. And now comes the subjective part. How tight is tight? I have spent countless hours on the phone with customers and users of the equipment to try and describe this. So this next part of what I'm going to go through is probably the most important part in the whole equation. This is a cob dryer. It is a very light load. There's not a lot of mass in this bowl, so there's not a lot of vibratory energy required in this bowl and whatnot. So the weight arrangements on this are fairly light and whatnot, but I like to grab this tensioner and slide it out, and then I reach over onto the other side and I grab the belt and I feel. You should have a little bit of displacement from side to side, but not too much. As I loosen up the twist on that tensioner base, I got more, and then as I tighten the tensioner base, I got less deflection. And what we're going to shoot for is we're going to shoot for the proper amount of tension is when we go to turn the machine back on, we're going to jog the machine on manually without the guard on, and we're going to watch this non-tension side of the belt, what we call the slack side. And when the machine is running, we don't want to see more than 1/2 of an inch to 1 inch of deflection from side to side on this belt. And we'll show you, we'll bring the camera around to the other side. On the tensioner side, that side of the belt's going to be shaking back and forth quite violently, but it's actually designed and supposed to do that. That tensioner's doing its proper job if that arm is shaking back and forth at the frequency and amplitude of the bowl. So we're going to get it right there, and then with my free hand, I'm going to tighten that bolt back up and get it good and snug. And now when you let go with the pipe wrench, the tensioner base stays and the arm is in a flexed position because the belt is providing resistance. So now we've got that all tight. Now we're going to jog this machine on, and we're going to show this side of the belt and show how much deflection's in there.